As a psychiatrist, I have the privilege of sitting in the front row as people share with me their goals, their dreams, their aspirations. I witness their sacrifices to achieve a particular goal, such as earn a degree, launch a business, or pursue a job promotion. These are inspiring stories that exemplify the human spirit. These are stories about finding a way to keep hope and persevere in the face of adversity. However, I also hear stories with a different theme. I often hear the following: "Doc, I won't be happy unless I get that degree." Or, "Doc, I don't know what I'll do without that job promotion." Or, "Doc, I need more money to be happy." These are stories in which we base our entire happiness on reaching a goal, and we prioritize this goal over our loved ones, our emotional health, and even our communities. Today, I want to talk about how this obsession with personal success, it's not helping us. It's hurting us and those around us, and how to turn things around. In our competitive society, achievement has become the top goal. We prioritize it over other values that are equally, if not more important, such as kindness, empathy, and service. In a national survey of over 10,000 students, the majority reported they cared most about aspects of personal success over caring for others. Our youth strives to achieve, even if it comes at a cost to their mental health. Perfectionism is on the rise, and that is strongly associated with depression and anxiety. Now, let me tell you, perfectionism is a brutal way to live life. To be human is to have flaws, but perfectionists have a hard time coping with our imperfections. As a result, they raise their bar of expectations at unattainable and unsustainable levels. The irony of this approach, by the way, is that it sets them up for their greatest fear, which is failure. I have worked with countless college students who were outstanding, but they could not tolerate having a B on their report card. I've worked with medical students who were well on their way of becoming physicians, but they could not handle being average in their class. But are we surprised that perfectionism is on the rise because our youth is walking in our footsteps as adults? And as adults, we treat work and success as badges of honor. We are the ones who are pushing our youth to fill their free time with countless extracurricular activities for admission into college. We push them to be the straight-A student and the star on their soccer team. We may tell our youth that we care about empathy and kindness, but we don't treat these values with the same vigor. This is because as adults, we care most about being perceived as successful. We put ourselves under immense pressure to excel professionally, to earn a healthy income, to have large homes, to have children who are straight-A students, and to have a bunch of followers on social media. A 2018 survey from the American Psychiatric Association, it showed that anxiety is on the rise. 40% of American adults reported being more anxious compared to the year prior. But again, are we surprised that anxiety is on the rise when we think about the amount of pressure that we put ourselves under to meet self-imposed and societal expectations? You know, this obsession with personal success, it's not just hurting us and our youth, it's hurting our communities. Empathy, which is the ability to understand someone emotionally, is on the decline. Narcissism is on the rise. We've become so self-absorbed that we are failing to see the humanity in one another. We treat one another as adversaries that must be trounced as we march towards our individual goals. One of my objectives as a psychiatrist is to carefully listen to my patients' stories and to look for patterns of thinking and behaving that make them vulnerable to emotional difficulties. Let me give you some examples. People who struggle with anxiety, they tend to engage in worst-case scenario thinking. They fixate on the worst possible outcome, treat it as imminent and inevitable, even if it has a low probability of occurrence. Let me give you another example. We blame ourselves for external events that are not our fault. And you know what I'm talking about. You call a friend, and they don't return the call, and you jump to the conclusion that they must be mad at you and that you've done something wrong, when in reality, they just haven't had a chance to return a call because they're busy like the rest of us. How about when we end up spread too thin and overwhelmed because we have a hard time saying no due to feelings of guilt and obligation? Likewise, we need to reflect on our values about personal success because they may be based on some false assumptions. And today, I want to present 3 myths about personal success. Myth number 1 is that success equals happiness. We prioritize the pursuit of success because we believe that this will guarantee our happiness. We push our youth to be successful because we believe that this will guarantee their happiness. This is based on the psychological phenomenon of affect forecasting. We try to predict how endeavors will make us feel, and we pursue those that will make us happy. But we fall for a trap known as the impact bias. We overestimate how much happier we will be. We idealize success and we forget that it comes with its fair share of challenges. No, it's not always sunny with clear blue skies when you make it to the top of your mountain. There will be plenty of overcast days with strong winds and heavy rains. You know, when I was younger, I would stress about success. I was obsessed with getting into med school. And early in my career, I discovered how naive I was in my thinking. Surveys show that over 40% of physicians were burned out as we deal with administrative requirements, documentation requirements, quality metrics, a fear of being sued, a loss of autonomy, a pandemic. Not to mention that our studies last for 7 to 10 years after college, and we graduate with about $200,000 on average in student loans. All this while trying to cope with serving on the front lines of human suffering. But the same can be said as far as wealth. You know, we idealize the accumulation of wealth and stuff, believing that this will be our path to happiness. But in a survey of millionaires, the vast majority reported that they needed more money to be happier by 1 point on a 10-point scale. Now, don't get me wrong, money solves a lot of problems, and I've lived on both sides of the aisle. My dad's a cook, my mom's a cashier at a grocery store. Money was tight growing up. And it wasn't that long ago that I was a broke medical student relying on ramen noodles to make ends meet. However, as a psychiatrist, I have the privilege of serving people from all walks of life. And I can assure you that measures of personal success, such as professional achievement and wealth, they don't make one exempt from suffering. Myth number 2 is that kindness is a barrier to success. You know, we're afraid to be kind because we're afraid that we're going to be taken advantage of or lose our edge. This is based on the either-or fallacy. Either I can be kind or I can be successful, but not both. Our brain falls for this fallacy because it likes to simplify and automate decisions. I mean, imagine how painful life would be if we had to think about everything that we do automatically, like tie our shoelaces. So our brain likes to think in absolute terms like black and white instead of shuffling through different shades of gray. The problem with this fallacy, though, is that we miss out on important details, the shades of gray, and this leads to emotional difficulties and interpersonal conflict. I mean, think about how prevalent this type of thinking is in society today. The prevalent mindset is that you are totally with me or completely against me. But wait a minute, you and I, we can disagree on a topic and agree on a bunch of other topics, right? Or you and I, we can disagree on a bunch of issues and still agree to treat each other with respect and kindness and dignity despite our differences. Let's do our best to substitute either or with and statements in our daily lives. I can be kind and I can set healthy boundaries to promote my emotional health. I can have a helping heart to serve others and I can strive for my personal goals. Kindness and success, they're not mutually exclusive. Myth number 3 is that your self-worth is determined by your level of success. We make assumptions about people based on their level of success. We make assumptions about them based on their level of fame and fortune, their athletic and academic feats, the titles and degrees next to their name. We compare ourselves to people who appear to be more successful, and we hustle to keep up with them. Falling behind creates feelings of envy and inadequacy. This is because we are confusing success and self-worth. Your self-worth is not determined by your level of success. Again, back to my personal life as an example. Dad's a cook, mom's a cashier at a grocery store. Money was tight growing up, but love was abundant. And with our love and support, I became a physician. Now, my question for you is, am I a more worthy human being because I've achieved a greater level of professional success and wealth compared to my parents? And the answer is no, absolutely not. This is because your self-worth is not determined by your level of success. Your self-worth is an innate, essential, and inherent part of your humanity. You are worthy because you are human, period. Now, I want to be clear, this talk is not a crusade against hard work and success. So if you want to earn a degree or a job promotion, please go for it. If you want to make more money, have at it. And I will argue that the pursuit of success can come with benefits. For example, one can experience personal growth as they strive to reach their goals. One can also be in a better position to make a positive contribution in the life of others. However, can we please stop idealizing success as the main path to happiness? And can we please stop prioritizing it over other values that are equally, if not more important, such as kindness, empathy, and service? Yes, it's important for us to celebrate people who are industrious and achieve their goals. We should celebrate the straight-A student for their academic feats. But we should also celebrate the student who has the courage to stand up to a classmate and defend them against the bully. Yes, we should stand up and we should celebrate our students who make the marching band, the soccer team, the football team. But we should also celebrate students who have awareness and who notice that a classmate's eating lunch by themselves and invite them over to their lunch table. Yes, our youth needs to be well-rounded and engaged in extracurricular activities. That also includes helping your elderly neighbors by taking out their garbage and mowing their lawns. You know, these acts of kindness and service, they don't always end up on a college resume, but they make a world of a difference. Helping our youth starts with helping ourselves. To change their mindset, we as adults need to practice what we preach. So yes, as adults, it's important for us to work hard and to provide for our families. It's equally important for us to slow down and to be present when we're home by turning off our laptops and cell phones. Again, it's important for our youth to be engaged in extracurricular activities. It's equally important, though, for us to schedule family dinner time in which we are not distracted by extracurricular activities. Here's a question for you. When was the last time that you kicked a soccer ball with your son or daughter instead of drive them frantically to soccer practice? By slowing down and being present, we are role modeling this behavior for our youth. We are teaching them how to take care of their mental health and their relationships while also striving to reach their personal goals. As I wrap up this talk, I want to leave you with some words of wisdom from my mother. You know, when I was younger, I would stress about my grades, and I was obsessed with getting into med school. And anytime she would see me stressed, she would tell me, focus first on being a human being, and then worry about your grades. And she was right, because what's the point of us achieving our personal goals if we're not going to be kind to one another, if we're not going to help one another, and if we're not going to leave this world a better place? So as you strive for your personal goals, please don't make the mistake of sacrificing your mental health, your loved ones, and your relationships and your communities at the altar of achievement. Thank you.